Thank you for joining us this evening. We're just letting people filter in here. Folks are joining us. And we will get started. All right. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Tiana Ellington. I'm the Assistant Director of Chapter and Regional Programming here for the Alumni Association at CWRU. So welcome. So before we begin tonight, I wanted to let you know that everyone's muted by default right now, just to limit background noises at the beginning. But once we get started, you should be able to unmute yourself to ask questions, share encouragement, if you need a little help or direction, all that good stuff. And I hope that you and your loved ones are remaining healthy and safe. In response to the COVID-19 pandemic, CWRU's research has become vital to the fight against COVID-19. And we invite you to follow us on Facebook and the university's website, case.edu/together, where we're posting regular updates regarding these important efforts. For regular updates and event information and to connect with the CWRU community, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And you can find us on all those platforms by searching at CWRU Alumni, as well as visiting our remote offerings page at case.edu/alumni, where you'll find a recording of tonight's event, as well as past recordings of events we've been hosting throughout the pandemic. Now more than ever, we hope these virtual events and social media platforms are helping us stay connected. Again, thank you. We appreciate you joining us tonight. And I wanted to now introduce our instructor for the evening, Rachel Smith, who is a nationally and internationally exhibited artist, metalsmith, and educator. She received her undergraduate degree at Miami University in art education with minors in 3D media studies, specializing in jewelry metals and Spanish, and then received her MFA in crafts, specializing in jewelry metals enameling at Kent State University. And currently she is working at Oberlin College, running the fabrication lab as their supervisor. And with that, I want to turn it over to Rachel, who will get us through this evening. And if she wants to elaborate more on herself, it's all you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tiana. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. And thank you to CWRU as well for hosting these amazing events. I know that I have really enjoyed being able to connect with people in new and meaningful ways through workshops like this. So I'm just thrilled to be here. So just jumping right in, I know that we don't have limitless time together, but at the end of this, you will receive a little PDF as well as a PowerPoint that I put together to overview some of the processes that we're going to do. Some of you may be very familiar with working with metal, with wire working techniques, and for others, this might be the first time that you have touched these materials. And I'm very excited to share this workshop with y'all either way. So I have two cameras. One is going to be facing my work zone, and I believe it's pinned. And then the other camera is going to be facing me, and I'm going to do my best to work within those spaces. So in your kits, you should have received quite a lot of wire. Everyone should have about 20 to 30 feet of wire, and that probably feels excessive, but we're going to go through it very quickly. One thing I did was I actually cut my wire in half and I coiled it around my hand, almost like a bobbin for sewing, if anyone is into that. And that is just going to allow me to try to work with the wire in kind of two different ways. This just helps me to keep it kind of organized if the larger loop starts to feel unorganized. So try it both ways. You'll have enough wire to complete this project though. Also, I'm going to recommend that we don't pre-cut wire, and my reason for doing that, I have my cute little winking kitty cat right here. So wire goes quick as we're working with it. So here I pre-cut my wire and I thought surely this is going to be like so much, so much, so much. But I'm recommending, you know, cut your big spool in half, but don't cut small sections, or else you're going to end up instead of doing the continuous line, you might end up doing a little bit more connection afterwards, which is not a big deal, but just a heads up. And the best thing about this is, so today we're focusing on sculptural wire working and portraiture, and really thinking about line and continuous line drawing. And to jump right into that, I know it was recommended that everyone have some scrap paper if possible. And I am going to use my scrap paper to first do a little bit of face mapping, and then to do a little bit of a contour wire prep by doing a one-line drawing. So if everybody is, I see that the sound is a little shaky for some people, but okay for others. So thank you, thanks for that. My guess is there might be some internet connectivity issues, but luckily this will be recorded. So hopefully the sound quality will be good in that recording, but please do stop me if at any point it's real bad. But so before we jump right in, I am going to be thinking about my face. And with the magic of Zoom is I don't even need a mirror to do this. I'm going to be just like really looking at my face intently at the camera. I'm going to encourage everyone to do the same thing with your Zoom cameras, or you can use your phone. If you have a mirror, great. But I'm just going to really be mapping out my face quickly. And the idea here is not to spend too much time. I'm going to do really gestural, you know, no face is like perfectly symmetrical. And yes, if you have a spool of wire and there's two of you can totally cut 15 feet, 30 feet, up to you. We're going to use at least half of that. So here I'm just mapping out a basic face. And typically, you know, even though no face is symmetrical, there's some rules that I like to follow because it's kind of counterintuitive. I always try to put my eyes in the middle because there's equal distance between the forehead and the eyes, and then the forehead and the chin, and it doesn't feel that way. And it's tempting to put your eyes up way high. If you end up doing that, that's great. These look honestly amazing no matter what, but this is my little mapping trick. Next, I sort of divide my face again on the lower half, and this is gonna be where my nose is. And then one more time, and that's gonna be where my mouth is. Now I'm just gonna think about, like, you know, favorite features or something that I really want to highlight. I've been really getting into, you know, my glasses. So I actually have prescription safety glasses, which have changed my life, but they're big and I love it. So I consider that a feature. And so I'm gonna draw in some really large glasses, some ears, and then the nose area. And this is so gestural. I like to think of, like, what are ways that I can take geometric shapes, general shapes, and how can I apply it to the face? And this is just a mapping of me, sort of. I have my eyes in there, and then I have my hair pulled back. So I'm just gonna do like a little halo of hair around here. And, you know, this is like, it starts to look like a face, and it's because I'm following some of those mathematical rules. But the point isn't going to be to get it to be exact. Instead, we want to start thinking about some of our favorite features. So I really like the fact that, you know, I have a little bit of a ski lift on my nose. So I want to, like, that feels like me. I also am wearing earrings, and I'm gonna see if I can incorporate those somehow into here. So I'm gonna put some earrings, and none of this is really specific. I personally like to keep it loose. Also a good point, I like to think about eyes, eyebrows, but now I'm going to move on to actually making this using my pen and trying to not pick it up from the paper. So I have my map, it's very gestural, it's very sketchy, and I'm going to take just a couple of minutes, and now I'm going to really look at myself in the Zoom camera, and I'm going to put my pen on the paper, and sometimes I don't even look. So we'll see how this is. And the goal isn't to make the most beautiful image ever. It's to really just focus in on the face, focus in on expression, how you're feeling. This can be a really mindful activity. And a lot of times I realize I've forgotten certain features, and that's okay. If they're important to me, I figure out ways to incorporate them. And if they're not important to me, then I come back later and I realize, you know, this is still a pretty good face. Got my big glasses in there. The best part is sometimes you sort of paint yourself into a corner. So then you're like, okay, my eye is here. I can't lift up my pen. What's gonna happen? Well, I have some lovely forehead wrinkles and I'm gonna lean in and embrace them. And, you know, that's maybe something that I don't do all the time, but that's a great way of going for my eyebrows. And coming back over and ending here. So last bit, I'm gonna wiggle on out to the side, throw my hair in, and I said I really wanted some earrings. And here's where we're making the rules. So, what do you know? All right. Now, does it look like me? There are aspects of it. This is definitely something that you practice every day. And what I love about it is it shifts depending on how I'm feeling about myself, how I'm feeling about the world. But no matter what, it becomes so expressive and so fun that, you know, it's not about making necessarily this extremely, you know, accurate picture. And I have another one that I did from the other day too. So I did my face mapping exercise, and then I have my contour line exercise as well. So it changes from day to day. And I like that a lot. Sometimes I go really simple. And I think, how can I do this in as few of lines as possible? And then sometimes I go all out and I'm like, I want all of these. I want this whole thing to be connected. So I'm gonna flip my paper over. Nothing is precious in terms of, you know, okay, this doesn't have to be perfect on the first shot. So let's kind of wiggle out, focus in again. And if you've done this once, let's take another 3 or 4 minutes to just like breathe and think about how you're going to do your portrait again. Maybe start in a different place. So this time I'm going to start at my forehead. And putting in an eyebrow ridge this time, so it's a little bit more 3/4 with the chin. what's really cool about these processes are how you can really think about mindfulness. You can really take a break from the day. You can just go in there. I'm gonna put my hair like I didn't brush it. Oops, I ran out of paper. That's okay. And again, we're making up the rules, so I want to go over and add in my eyes. This time I didn't do glasses, so I kind of lied, but you can see these are just really fun, really whimsical. A big part of our inspiration was actually looking at this Cleveland Museum of Art's collection. They have a number of Alexander Calder pieces. They're in the PDF that I'm going to send out to y'all. But he's really well known for these mobile sculptures, and I can actually share my screen really quickly to share a picture of the inspiration. So these are works that are at the Cleveland Museum of Art, and he did a lot with line drawing, both pencil and paper, which is what they have at the Cleveland Museum of Art, but he also created a lot of these sculptures in wire, which is going to be our next step. So I'm going to stop sharing just so that you can see my workspace a little bit easier. All right. So this is just, that contour line activity is something that you can do a couple of times and just sort of loosen up. And from now on, we're going to put that away and we're going to focus on the metal component. So, all right, here I have my kit, have some wire, I have it coiled up. If you haven't cut your wire yet, you can use your arm. It's about 1 foot long, and you can wrap wire around your arm about 15 times to get enough. Now, if I were to just use this wire, and I'm going to flip my paper so that you can see it best here. If I were just to use my fingers and hands to shape this, I would do okay, but at the end of the day, my fingers would hurt. So if everyone gets out their pliers, we're going to start with my 2 favorites that you're going to use. And one of them, I'm gonna hold it up to the camera. This is called a flat nose plier. Looks a bit like a duck bill. And if you hold it to the side, it's rectangular. So duck bill on one side, rectangle on the other profile. And I'm going to use that in conjunction with what's called a chain nose. And the profile looks the same as the flat nose, but the side view, it comes to a taper. So let's just take a moment to sort of practice. I like to use the chain nose for small details and the flat nose for manipulating, and these become an extension of my hand. All right, so sometimes I will, sacrifice a little piece of my wire and take a few minutes just to feel the material. We're working with annealed steel. Because it's annealed, it is soft. And the more we work it, the harder it does become. And it becomes hard in the spaces where we work. So if we were to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, you can see that actually this is no longer moving. So And for people who are asking to demo visually, there should be a spotlight pin on my work surface that you can follow along with my my other camera. So there's 2 cameras that you can follow. So we have to be careful not to bend it too much back and forth, but this is pretty forgiving because it is in that annealed or softened state. So to get a sense for working with wire and how I feel control-wise over it, sometimes I'll put that squiggle down and I will work with the wire. And you can see that I am clasping along the ridge of the wire with my flat nose and my chain nose, just working back and forth to create that shape. Now I know I want to change the direction about here, so I can isolate that. That way I am not changing what I've already worked on over here, but I am instead moving on to that next component. So this takes a little bit of practice. If you ever get yourself into a corner that's a little too tight, these round nose pliers that are in your kit are really helpful. And these are great for really small details if you have a lot of loop-de-loops in your design, or if you want to create loops, like I have a little one right here, then this is the tool for you. If I go through and I try to use the round cone-like portions of it though to really smooth out my wire, I'm not going to have quite as much luck as if I use the more flattened surface. So it's kind of counterintuitive that you're smoothing with a flat surface, but I'm just like, you know, taking that duckbill and I'm just ever so slightly chomping down on that wire, and I'm trying to get a nice graceful curve. All right, so this is something that, you know, just play around with, have some fun with. But for now, I think we're all here to make our own wire portrait and to jump right in. So let's just take 2 minutes. And I want to see if anyone has any quick questions about using pliers first. Feel free to unmute yourself. All right, cool. So I'm going to go back to my drawing, and I'm into this one right here where I haven't, typically I don't give myself hair because I wear a ponytail every day, but today I'm gonna give myself hair. I'm very excited about that. So.
Where do you get the pliers?
There should, let's see.
Where do you get them?
Were the pliers included in a kit? If not, you can totally use your hands. But
I didn't get a kit. I didn't get a kit, so.
Gotcha. Yeah. I will drop a link to the plier set that I highly recommend. It works pretty well with especially thin pliers. But yes, there's a supply list, but we'll make sure that that link goes in there.
I didn't get a kit either, and
okay.
I wasn't expecting to do a portrait. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, I'm here.
Okay, cool. Well,
have you.
Yeah. Well, we'll just jump in, and there's no need to necessarily do your own portrait. This is just a really great way of making sure that within an hour we can all get something done.
Yeah.
So no worries if you don't have a kit. This is something that you'll be able to follow along at a different day, at a different time. And when I say portrait, I just mean, you know, something to follow along.
Yeah.
So interpret that how you will.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So I like to take my my contour line drawing and literally just start following along. And I'm using my pliers to isolate. I'm using my fingers a little bit. Now, I am being quite literal with this, but there's literally no right or wrong way to do this. So you can also throw out that, that image and just start working in a free-form manner. So when you're thinking about line, we are relying very heavily on the theory of Gestalt and the idea of implied line, meaning like basically our brains can start to put together pieces of the puzzle. And a lot of what you see in these line drawings, especially the one line drawing, is the idea of, you know, our brains are amazing and they are able to put together this puzzle and make something out of it. So I don't have to show every detail to have a really successful piece, but I pick and choose. And then without actually connecting the dots 100%, I can still see this as, okay, this is a head. This is a face. So now, the more that you work with the wire, kind of the more fun you can start to have. But a few things that you might notice right off the bat is the area that you're working in, you'll have the most control over. And when you're doing this single line, that'll feel great until you move on to the next area. So right now I'm rounding the corner of my nose. It's really hard to get a sharp turn in metal, but there are ways, and I'll show you a few ways. But so the rest of my piece is sort of bouncing along here. We're not going to worry too much about what we've done in the past until we get till the end. So let's see. Gonna find my mouth. If at any point you're like, this is stressful, then you can absolutely take your wire snips and you can stop, chop, and we'll talk about some ways of attaching wire at the end. So. All right, so as I'm going around this corner, I'm going to use the pliers to flatten and to pinch. And unless I go in with a file and a saw, I'm never going to 100% get a really, really crisp line here, but we can use that in our advantage. These are going to be extremely expressive. So does anyone just have like a mess of wire going right now, or is it going okay for people who have wire ready?
I'm feeling more confident than not.
Can you wrap around, like if you're doing an eye, can you wrap the wire around to keep the image stationary?
Yes, totally. That is a great technique. And you can also use your different tools. If the chomping motion isn't going for you, you can also literally stick your tool down and wrap it around the handle of your tool, or take a pencil or your pen, and you can use that to wrap it around and keep it kind of stationary. And this wire that we're using from McMaster-Carr is pretty forgiving. But if anyone is using an aluminum wire, or even sometimes copper wire, it will mar easily. And in your kit, there is pliers that has a nylon coating. It's like a plastic coating, and that will help with that. All right, so I've gotten down to my chin, and I feel like if I go around to my hair, things might get a little bit wild. So I'm going to actually take my wire, and I'm going to loop it around. I've momentarily lost the profile of my face, but I've just looped it around itself, and I can go back in with my flat nose pliers and crunch that section together and just secure that bond. That's just going to create a nice little loop right here. And if anyone's like, I really love a certain area of my face and I want to make sure that nothing gets in the way of this moving, this is perfect, then you can also take a little section of your leftover wire, or if you're feeling fancy and you ever get some different colors of wire, but I can take this little piece and I can actually do a bit of wire wrapping around. And this will just give it a little bit extra security. Once I have that first loop in, I can hold it all together with my pliers and then wrap. I'm gonna hold this up to the camera. So the reason why I can get a really nice tight wrap on here, you totally don't have to do this. I prefer the loose method myself, but the front of my wire is being held to my main piece with my flat nose pliers, and it's allowing me to get a nice tight wire wrap on here. And I'm going to snip my wires, which is 100% why we need the safety glasses. The other day I was doing this with a friend and we had wire just go straight across the table. So you're less likely to hurt yourself and more likely to hurt others. But that's why I highly recommend some sort of safety glasses when working with metal. You just never know when that's gonna happen. But now I have a nice little attachment there just to hold it in place, and I can go on to work on my hair. Now, some other things that you can do while to sort of work on your piece in terms of different wire working techniques. I'm going to set down my actual project and pull out some wire and just go through some techniques and ideas. But everyone can continue working. Feel free to drown me out to keep doing your own thing. But if you have any need for attaching components, I can take a pen, pencil, marker, and I can take my wire and wrap it, and I'm creating a spiral. This is also really great if you have curly hair. You can create some spirals. And the wire will go fast with this. So if I pull this off, have this beautiful spiral, nice coil. Going to snip that. And this gauge of wire is about 18 gauge, but we're using steel. If you're working with a softer metal, you could definitely, with the wire cutters, go to a thicker gauge, like a 15 or a 14 or a 16 gauge, and it should be fine. Sometimes wire cutters, though, will give out on materials like steel. So I have this spring, and here's one neat little trick that I like to do to create a connector. You can just use your pliers to pull up one end, and then the same thing on the other side, pull up another end. And I like my ends to overlap a little bit. We're not worrying about any sort of soldering or hot attachment techniques, but this is a really easy way to attach in a fun, kind of playful way from one piece of wire to another. I can just take that loop, attach it, and hold it onto there. Now, just say I wanted just loops to attach. I'm going to take my spring, I'm putting it together again. So you can go to the store and you can buy jump rings. They're expensive. I like to just do that wrapping technique. And then take my wire snips and I go down the line. There we go. And now I have a series of jump rings. So with the jump rings, you just have to know that if you're using this to attach pieces, you're going to get some good kinetic movement, which is definitely in the spirit of Calder and the spirit of a lot of wire sculpture in general has movable quality to it. But if you want to add little extra pieces, this is a great way to do it. And all I have to do afterwards is use my dynamic duo, the chain nose pliers and the flat nose pliers. And I like to open, go a little past, and then snap it closed. That tends to work well for a nice closed jump ring. So I'll do that again. Hold it in two hands. Right now it's slightly open. And I wiggle one way, wiggle the other way, go slightly over, oops, and close it. And by moving it back and forth like that, because the wire is in an inlet state, I can work it back and forth and it gets slightly stronger. That's just a nice way of keeping things connected. A few other wire working techniques that I really enjoy doing, especially when I get into multiples. So Angela, the jump rings are just, if you just want to add some extra components after you're done, you can use jump rings to attach multiple pieces to your main piece. So I'm going all in with the, just the one line, but sometimes it's fun to add extra components and those jump rings will hold it together.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, totally. And these are just extra things like, nowhere on does anyone need to go find an old dirty board that has nails put into it. But one thing that I like to do with scrap is I'll throw some nails in, and if I get really into some design work, I can actually create my same wire working design over and over again. And this is just a really simple jig with nails and a leftover board, and I can just go down the line, the nails each time, will hold it in place, and I'll create something that has kind of a good sense of a repetition to it. Or I can create multiples in terms of individual pieces. So this one down here, put this together, pull it up, and I have nice little treble clef that's started. So you can kind of have some fun with additional wire components, playing around with a few different techniques. This is just called, making a jig out of a board and some nails. And that is just a little extra if you're looking to play around with shape, with wire, especially thinking sculpturally, thinking about going larger, that sort of thing. All right, so I'm back to my face, and I'm at the part where I need to finish up my hair. And I'm going very general with my hair. I'm gonna fix it later. Let's see. How are the pliers working out for everyone? Takes a minute, but it starts to become this weird extension of your hands that I really...
Rachel, we had a question from Meredith asking about the copper wire that was on the list.
Yes, so the copper wire, I like to use at the end, or you can start incorporating it whenever. It's a great way of looking at your piece, figuring out where there's little areas that need to be wire wrapped and attached, and to add a little bit of glam or to add some accents. So that's just a really great way of adding in some color. So if you are wanting to just go for it now and start to incorporate it, that's fantastic. Or if you want to wait till the end and decide where in your piece needs some copper, then just, yeah, there's no sort of right or wrong. The copper over time will take on what's called a patina. And that is just going to be different for everyone. So some people's hands naturally patina or change the color of metal really well. I have pretty good patina hands. If I touch copper, the next day it's going to be brown. For other people, it's going to stay shiny for a long time. But a cool thing you can do is, if you like that browned copper look, you can just touch it every day and eventually it'll turn nice brown color. Or if you really like the shiny copper, throw some clear nail polish on it, or a clear coat of clear spray paint or something, and it'll work as a varnish. All right. So here I am. So funny, it looks a mess, but it's coming together. Putting in my eye. I'm using that round nose plier to do that. make sure clear my workspace every once in a while. Keep things nice and clear for the camera. All right, here we are. I'm gonna finish up. Nice little twist. All right, so I'm at the point where I feel like I can cut my wire and start to assess. So my face is very dimensional, which I kind of love. These look great. You can have them on the wall. I have a number of them here, ready to go. I think one fell on the floor. That's okay. And they look great on the wall. They also look great as hanging pieces. If you put them slightly on, like you can use your extra wire and have them hang like a mobile. They work really great. They cast some fantastic shadows. They also look great in a frame. There's really nothing that you can do to make these not look pretty fantastic. Don't know if y'all are familiar with some of Picasso's line drawings, but he was also a very big single line drawing artist, I guess. Got really into that. So, all right, I got a little bit of cleanup work to do here. But I can now come in with some of my mirrored wire if I want, or I can just continue if you're digging the steel, then just carry on. But I'm going to retouch some areas that are maybe a little bit weaker. And again, I'm doing that by using my pliers to hold the wire in place. And then I'm going to do some wrapping. And I'm gonna just wrap the tail in. And the end gets really hard. It's part of that work hardening process. So I'm making sure I'm using my pliers, especially for that. And we're at the point right now where I want to make sure that if there are other questions going on, or if anyone wants to share their progress or what they're making, and like I said, portraiture is very, I'm using it in a broad way here. So if you
I want to share my portrait.
Yeah.
Please do. That's mine.
Oh, I love it. Oh my
My big ponytail.
Oh, that's so great. Oh my gosh, I love it.
It's funny. And my mom made one too here. Also, this is her. She has blonde hair, so she put her wire. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah, the copper wire. I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, that's so great. So great.
Yeah, this is funny.
And I want to tell people, like, thank you for sharing. Like, if anyone else wants to like share, I want to like drop our email. If you want to share your afterwards or while you're working on it or anything, I would love to be able to like feature it. We have like social media, and I'll share them with Rachel and all kind of stuff. But like, I want your creations to be seen. I want them to see and be seen. So I'm going to drop our alumni relations email in here. And you feel free, whenever you do finish them, share them with us. I'll share them with Rachel. I'll get them posted to like somewhere on social media so you can get the acclaim that you deserve.
Angela, y'all got that so exact. I'm very impressed.
My sister's here too. Did you see Cindy's? She put some really of the nice copper wire right near her glasses in the front.
I love that. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yes, I feel like the glasses, they need a little bit of glamour, so it's perfect.
So yeah, I mean, it kind of stretched our abilities to do things, but
I think it looks good.
Yeah, we had a fun time. This was awesome.
That's so great. My favorite part about this is it becomes more about the expression, about the gesture, and I've never not smiled at how a face has turned out, and it's a great way of reflecting on that sort of expression. And yeah, Lisa has some awesome flowers happening, and I love the spiral, the seed spirals coming out of there. Amazing.
I did this one with both the wires.
Oh, I love that. Some mixed metals.
And then I kind of did a little curly Q in the middle of it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So a fun way to mix those metals, I just learned this actually not too long ago, but if anyone ever has access to one of those old-fashioned hand crank drills, instead of twisting with your pliers and with your fingers, you can actually put multiple pieces of wire in an old crank drill and it twists it for you. So that changed my life. Oh, Jim, that cat. Oh my goodness. Dave, you have quite the sculpture going on over there.
I have trees I did a while ago, you know.
Yeah. Oh, wire trees are so amazing. There's the, oh, that's so fantastic. That reminds me, the Summit County Lapidary Club sometimes does
the
wire
trees?
trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Very
really
cool.
a part of, I don't know if I can show it, but yeah, you can see that it's kind of a wind-blown look.
I love that. I love that.
I missed the key instruction. Are you not supposed to double back? My wife's told me you're supposed to just have one continuous line. So I doubled back on mine. So next time I'll get it right. I'm sure you can see the resemblance, but
Yeah.
I did a lot of looping back for the hair. But I see what you did was no doubling back.
I've done it both ways. So doubling back gives you more control, which some days I need. And then, but going forward with one line is a really sort of whimsical way to create an implied shape. So both ways totally work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. The next one then.
Yes. Yeah. So try it both ways. And something I also love to do is with the drawing practice at the beginning, if I'm feeling really tight one day, I use a giant writing utensil. And if I'm feeling a little bit gestural, I'll use a mechanical pencil. It gets my brain to think in different ways. Same with the wire, looping back is sort of like using a mechanical pencil, whereas going with one line is sort of like doing a huge Sharpie. Oh my gosh, Karen, that hair, that nose, oh, that's so great. Nice, oh wow, you both, oh, so great.
So mine is my son, who's a trumpet player in the marching band, and that's his little plume on the top and his little trumpet.
Oh, that's so, I love
There's some
it.
flowers too. Can't really see
Yeah,
them.
Tessa, you got some amazing colors in there.
Yeah, I got a bunch of colors. I think that was from Amazon.
Nice, nice, yes. Very cool. Jim, oh, I love that. I
We got
love
a second one from Nicole here. Yeah.
Tom, fantastic. Oh my gosh, I love the lines around the eyes to the ear, that traveling, so wonderful. Oh my goodness. And let's see, are there any, oh, Eric, perfect, amazing. Wow, I am just blown away. This is absolutely wonderful. Laura, I see, also has a fantastic face. I love it, a face over the face. Yeah, oh my gosh. And let's see, I'll share, I have a cat earlier in solidarity with some of the cats that I've seen. This is my little ragdoll Airy. She kind of wiggles. Kurt, I love that. That's fantastic. Great glasses. I feel like us folks with glasses, we get the automatic extra accessory, which is really fun to work with. I love how you connected it all. So amazing.
Agreed. This was great. I think so too. I want to say, like, thank you, Rachel, for walking us through this. As we went on, I think we were all more comfortable. I was kind of apprehensive at first. I was like, Rachel's going to get us through this though. And I'm thank you again. And thank everybody for jumping on with us this evening. I am going to put together a follow-up email that's going to have the PowerPoint, the PDF that Rachel has put together to help us along. It's going to have another copy of the supply list, as well as the recording of this event. And then there's just going to be a brief survey to let us know how you like this event and if you have any ideas for anything moving forward. And then I'm also going to include a link to Rachel's website, as well as to the Cleveland Museum of Art's website, where they're hosting tons of more virtual activities and workshops like these that are not necessarily through CWRU, but with, like I said, CMA, which is a great partner with us on campus. And if you have a chance to, participate, please do. Again, you should see this email no later than tomorrow afternoon. I just have to wait for all the Zoom meeting to download and do all that fancy things that it does. But yes, again, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Rachel, for teaching us. I hope that you all will come out and join us for a future CWRU Alumni Association event, or join Cleveland Museum of Art for another of their virtual workshops. All right, everybody stay safe. Thank you, Rachel. We'll be talking. But everybody else, you have a fantastic night and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good class.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.